What if the person you fall in love with slowly becomes the person you're afraid of? And what if walking away from that love feels even harder than staying? Today's book is not just a romance. It's a story that challenges everything we think we know about love, strength, and breaking cycles. And trust me, by the end of this video, you might see relationships very differently. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is where we dive deep into books that actually make an impact. Stories that stay with you long after you've turned the final page. Today, we're talking about It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, a book that has taken the internet by storm, sparked emotional debates, and honestly left a lot of readers completely wrecked. This is not your typical romance, and I'm going to break down exactly why. So, It Ends With Us follows Lily Bloom, a young woman who has just moved to Boston to start her own business. She's independent, determined, and trying to build a life on her own terms after a difficult childhood. Very early in the story, she meets Ryle Kincaid, a successful, confident, and incredibly charming neurosurgeon. Their chemistry is immediate, intense, and complicated. At first glance, this feels like the beginning of a passionate love story. But very quickly, you start to realize that this book is about something much deeper and much more uncomfortable. Running alongside Lily's present-day story are flashbacks in the form of journal entries about her first love, Atlas Corrigan, a boy from her past who represents safety, kindness, and unconditional support. Let's talk about the story in more detail, without spoiling the biggest moments just yet. Lily and Ryle's relationship starts off with a lot of intensity. Ryle is someone who doesn't believe in relationships at first, which makes Lily feel special when he eventually commits to her. Their connection feels exciting, almost addictive. And that's important, because the book shows how love doesn't always begin in obvious toxicity. Sometimes it starts beautifully, but slowly, subtle red flags begin to appear. Moments of anger, sudden shifts in behavior, things that are easy to dismiss at first. And this is where the book becomes incredibly realistic, because Lily doesn't immediately recognize these behaviors as dangerous. She rationalizes them, she excuses them, she focuses on the good parts of Ryle. At the same time, we're reading Lily's journal entries about Atlas. These entries show us a completely different kind of love, one that is patient, protective, and selfless. Atlas, as a teenager, was homeless and struggling, and Lily helped him in secret. Their relationship was built on trust and emotional connection, rather than intensity or passion. As the story progresses, Lily's past and present begin to collide. And without giving away everything, the contrast between Ryle and Atlas becomes impossible to ignore. One represents passion mixed with pain, the other represents safety and respect. Now let's talk about what this book is really about, because it's not just a love triangle. At its core, It Ends With Us is about the cycle of abuse. Lily grew up watching her mother stay in an abusive relationship, and as a child, she never understood why her mother didn't just leave. She judged her, she questioned her, she promised herself she would never end up in the same situation. But as her own relationship unfolds, Lily begins to understand something incredibly difficult. It's not that simple. The book does an amazing job of showing how emotional complexity works in abusive relationships. There's love, there's guilt, there's hope, there's denial. And all of these emotions make it incredibly hard to walk away. Another major theme is the idea of breaking generational cycles. Lily is faced with a decision. Does she repeat the past, or does she finally end it? Let's get into my honest review. First, the emotional impact of this book is incredibly strong. It doesn't just tell you what's happening, it makes you feel it. There are moments in this story that are genuinely uncomfortable to read, and that's exactly the point. Second, the characters feel very real. Lily is not perfect. She makes decisions that might frustrate you, but that's what makes her believable. Ryle is also written in a very complex way. He's not a one-dimensional villain. He has depth, charm, and vulnerability, which makes the situation even more complicated. And Atlas. Atlas is honestly one of the most emotionally grounding characters in the book. He represents what healthy love should look like, without being overly idealized. Another thing I really appreciated is how the book avoids being overly preachy. It doesn't tell you what to think. It shows you situations and lets you experience them emotionally. Now, no book is perfect, so let's talk about a few criticisms. Some readers feel that certain parts of the story are emotionally overwhelming, especially if they've experienced similar situations in real life. This is definitely not a light read, and it can be triggering for some people. Others feel that the pacing in the middle of the book slows down slightly, and a few readers wanted even more development in certain side characters. But overall, these are relatively minor compared to the impact the book delivers. Personally, this book stayed with me long after I finished it. What really stood out to me is how it changed my perspective. It made me realize how easy it is to judge situations from the outside, and how complicated they actually are when you're inside them. It also made me think about the idea of strength. Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is not staying and enduring, but walking away, even when it hurts. And I think that's why this book resonates with so many people. It's not just a story. It's a reflection of real-life experiences that many people don't talk about openly. So, who should read this book? If you're looking for a light, feel-good romance, this might not be the right choice. But if you want something meaningful, emotional, and thought-provoking, this is absolutely worth reading. It's especially powerful for readers who appreciate character-driven stories and real-world themes. For me, It Ends With Us gets a solid 9 out of 10. It's not just a good book, it's an important one. Now I want to hear from you. Have you read this book? Did you agree with Lily's decisions, or would you have done something differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive book reviews every week. And I'll see you in the next one!